Hello, Becky Duff here with Rudolph, who sadly lost his nose. This Rudolph, is like one of my favorite Christmas movies, and we didn't even watch it this past Christmas, which makes me really sad. Anyways, welcome back to my channel. I am here to do the Reindeer Readathon / kind of December TBR wrap up. I read a few other books, but that was for a different readathon happening, the Merry and Bright ones. My husband took the kids out to family night at our church. They get supper and get to play some games and have fun there, and I am here doing my wrap up, and I still amazingly fit into my onesie even at 38 weeks for 3 days pregnant. I was 38 weeks on Monday and today is Thursday, so 3 days pregnant, 38 weeks. So yeah, I want to make this really quick. I'm trying to keep my videos under 20 minutes especially, but like around the 10-minute mark if I can. So I'm going to go through these books as fast as I can. I had a good reading month in December. So yeah, read some really good books. So let's talk about them. I got my little list here. Coffee. It's not a reindeer, but it's my cute fox mug that I got for my birthday that I bought myself. McDonald's apple pie, which I don't think I've had in like years, but my husband wanted one. I was like, that sounds delicious. Sure. And my books. So the prompts: Dasher, read a short story or a collection or like a novella. So I read on my phone, so I counted that as an ebook, which was for the bonus prompt, Christmas Lights. I read The Christmas Dog, and I didn't write down her name, who wrote it, but there was, when I downloaded the ebook, it was like a 2-in-1, The Christmas Dog and The Christmas Cat. So I did read both of them just because they were short stories, but I counted The Christmas Dog as the points for Dasher. Basically, okay, there's this lady. It starts with her at church, and then she's like, it's leading up until Christmas, and she's like thinking about having to go home from church and dealing with, there's like a new neighbor. In the neighborhood, there was like all these people who like grew up together, their kids grew up together. It was this really great neighborhood, and things are changing now, and her kids have moved out of state, and the one neighbor that's like shares her back fence they moved, and I think they passed away, and then now there's like this new guy living there, and he's like really grumpy, he doesn't like anyone, no one gets along with him, and so she's like, great, I'm gonna have to go home and deal with him. And then there's this little dog that's gotten like through the fence and into her yard and stuff, and she's like, this dog's peeing on my tree and pooping in my yard and all this stuff. So she like brings it back over to his place, and then he brings it back. Then she's talking to her daughter, and her daughter mentions that her son, the daughter's brother, is like, hey, have you talked to my brother lately? Things are not going good with his wife and her daughter, so his stepdaughter. And the stepdaughter is like run away and no one knows where she is or anything like that. And then she shows up on this lady's front step, and it's like her step granddaughter, but they have like a good relationship together. And so she's there, and then she's like, well, we can't just leave this poor dog out in the snow and stuff like that, like he's cold. And I didn't, like I mentioned, it is a Christian book, and so the main character, somebody was talking to her and mentioned like showing kindness to our enemies, right? And so she's like, fine, I'll buy this dog food and a collar and a leash, and I'll give it a bath and do all this stuff. So her granddaughter gives the dog a bath and everything, and they try and give it back to the guy, and then that's when the guy brings it back and is like, I don't want your dog. And she's like, it's not my dog. He's like, it's not my dog. And this dog kind of like keeps going back and forth between the two of them. And then of course like her granddaughter gets really attached to the dog, and this lady's like, I do not want a dog at all in my house. And she's very like against this little tiny mutt of a dog. And she ends up giving it to like the SPCA and all this stuff. And I'm trying to think of like how to wrap up the moral of the story. There's definitely like the be kind to your neighbor aspect. Be kind to those who persecute you. He's not really persecuting her, but it's like be kind to your enemies. Like she's not getting along with this guy at all. And also like giving the benefit of the doubt. Like the granddaughter kind of like strikes up a friendship with this guy and learns a little bit about him. And turns out he's actually, the couple that used to live there were his parents or his grandparents or something. And so he's taken over. The main character, all she sees is the mess that he's making and ripping stuff out of their house and like destroying her good friend's home. and she's mad about it, but it's actually like his grandparents' home and he's doing like renovations and stuff like that. So it's kind of like giving the benefit of the doubt and giving people a chance and getting behind, like, this guy's all grumpy and whatever, but it's like there's a reason for it and they just don't know it. Like, she just doesn't know it. So of course, like, we always think the worst of other people and think the best of ourselves, right? So just like giving people the benefit of the doubt. They were cute, fun, lighthearted books to read. Good for Christmas. I read, like, I had it on my phone, so we had a few quiet moments at work, and being like super pregnant and sore and tired, I would take a few minutes and just read a couple pages on my phone kind of thing. So it was good that way. And then Dancer was to read a book by one of your favorite authors, and you could do a reread, but I did not. I just picked up, I've mentioned Michael Connelly before as one of my favorite authors. He got me back into reading when I was around 16 years old. Anyways, I picked up Fair Warning by Michael Connelly for the Dancer prompt. Like I said, I think I prefer the Bosch novels to this one, and I don't remember much of the other McAvoy books. Veteran reporter Jack McAvoy has taken down killers before, but when a woman he had a one-night stand with is murdered in a particularly brutal way, the police are at his door telling him he's a suspect. So this has to do with DNA, which was kind of cool, because another book I'm going to talk about has a lot to do with like genetic DNA, genetic material, stuff like that. So it was kind of cool to read both these books in the same month. And I had no idea like that they would both have those things in it. Fair Warning is like a news site, like a newspaper online. And so Jack McAvoy has started working there. And I guess it was a real thing. At the end of the audiobook, Michael Connelly interviews a guy, and he's named in here, like the publisher of it. And they talk about like the importance of Fair Warning and why the guy started it and all that stuff. But basically they are a warning site for consumers and being like, this is good, this is bad, and like exposing like corruption and stuff like that. So there's this whole DNA thing. Myron, the editor's name is Myron, and that he's based off of like the real guy who really set up Fair Warning. So McAvoy has to walk a thin line between suspect and detective, between investigation and obsession, as he hunts a killer who uses genetic data and knows his victims better than they know themselves. So people are doing these tests for your ancestry and trying to like find people that they're related to. So they do these like mouth swab things, send in the thing, and it's like GT23 or something. So it's talking about like the 23 chromosomes, but also like it's the cheapest, so it's only $23. So you send in your swab, they have your DNA now, and then they link you up with whoever you might be related to who has also done the test. Then this genetic material, this DNA, is being sold to other companies, which you sign, like, you know, that fine print that no one reads, you're signing this stuff. And then their genetic material is going to this other guy. This guy's posting stuff like on this website, and now the serial killer is getting a hold of it. And apparently there's a gene out there that if you have this gene, it's a higher chance that you will like high risk behaviors, which includes being sexually promiscuous, possibly. It could include that. But so this guy is finding these women who have this gene and is like, oh, they're going to be more likely to want to have sex. And then he takes them home and they're like willing and stuff like that. He's not raping them, but then he's killing them after he gets them back to their place. Jack McAvoy wants to find out, like, obviously who the killer is, because he's a suspect because he slept with this woman who died, but he'd slept with her like the year previously and then she had died. He's chasing down this story because this G223 company is selling this DNA and then these women are dying. He's pitching this to his boss as this is a fair warning story because the consumers need to know, the women need to know who are doing this, that this could be dangerous, that they're giving their information away and stuff like that. It's not my favorite Michael Connelly book ever, but it is a good one and I enjoyed it. And it was interesting to get like the perspective from a reporter instead of a detective. It was good and it's going in my Michael Connelly collection. Prancer was to read a book with a travel element in it, so vacation or whatever, a quest. You could do like Lord of the Rings or something. So I bought this book back in May. It's by T.A. Williams and it's called Dreaming of Christmas, and it was on sale for $1 at Chapters. And me and my friend kind of like picked it up, read the back, and she's like, sounds like a good, easy Christmas read. And I was like, it's $1, I'll buy it, we can read it together. So we chose to read this one together, and then it just happened to fit the prompt because they travel for a Christmas holiday. So the beginning of the book starts with Zoe Lumsley getting dumped on Christmas Eve by her like longtime boyfriend, like 10 years from college up until now, and she's like 32, I believe, in like the current time. I thought the book was going to be like she gets dumped by this guy and then all these friends are getting together to go on this vacation and she's like, now I gotta deal with this guy that I just got dumped by. But actually the breakup happens a year prior. So it's been a rough year, and then she gets an invitation she can't refuse, an all expenses paid skiing holiday with old university friends. The bad news, her ex Grant will be there with his new girlfriend, but so will her former flatmate Billy, who has done rather well for himself. So Billy has become like this billionaire doing some kind of computer tech stuff, and he's the one who's doing the all expenses paid. And there was like this group of college students that all were living together in the same flat, and that's who he's inviting for this vacation. The vacation takes place in Austria. So it's like a week before Christmas and several days after Christmas that they are scheduled to be there for. I enjoyed the book. It was really simple and easy, and there was a few things in it with Billy's wife and stuff that I pretty much guessed. I was like, there's something off about this or whatever. My one, I like that. Me and my friend were reading it together, and I was texting her, and I was like, the one thing that really annoys me is Zoe's like, they're in Austria, in the mountains, going skiing like every single day. And so they're burning off a lot of calories, and the one, like Juliet is a doctor, and so she even says like, just sitting outside or somewhere where it is cold, you burn more calories trying to stay warm, even though you're not doing any exercise at all. So it's okay to eat more calories when you're in a cold climate, which is great because it's been like -40 here for a couple weeks and it's finally warmed up to like -9. We're all like, hallelujah. But Zoe's always like, I don't know if I need these calories. Oh, there's so many calories. I'm eating so many calories. And I'm like, shut up. You're on vacation. Just enjoy yourself. And I was texting my friend, like, there's a point where you want to be careful with what you're eating because if you eat too much, you're going to get sick. Like, if you're just shoving your face full of, like, cake and pastries and stuff like that, just because you're on vacation, you're going to have, like, a stomach ache, and you're going to be sick, and you're going to be miserable, and that's not fun either. But don't deny yourself the piece of cake because of too many calories. Just enjoy yourself. You're on vacation, relax, you'll be fine. Be smart, eat healthy, enjoy yourself. So that was just kind of, like, one thing that annoyed me about Zoe, was just, like, the constant mention of how many calories she's consuming. But they're skiing like every day, like she's burning off those calories, so just relax. And then my friend mentioned, she's like, how much time do they have in a day? Because they're waking up and they're going skiing and then they're having a nap and then they're having a bath and then they're going shopping and then they're relaxing and then they're going out for like dinner and then they're going out to do this and then they're doing that, and it's like all in one day. And I'm like, yeah, it's true, they're like, a lot happens in their day, a lot is crammed into it. Again, it was an easy read. I liked the atmosphere in it, and I don't ski. I've never gone skiing or snowboarding before in my life, but I liked the vibes. The cozy winter vibes in it were nice and great for this time of year. And there was a couple of the girls, a couple of the wives that are like, I'm not going skiing. I don't ski. I don't snowboard. Nothing like that. And they just like sat around reading books or went shopping. And I was like, that would be me. That would be me. Oh, and Grant in this, like the boyfriend who broke up with her, was an asshole. Like, seriously? I was like, stay away from him. He kind of is like, does he want to get back together with Zoe or not after being broken up for like a year and like breaking her heart? Like, they were together 10 years and then he's like cheating on her at the end and is like, I don't want to be with you anymore. And then like he possibly maybe wants to get back together with her. And I'm like, don't go with him. He's an asshole. And then I was like, I understand, like they don't have kids or anything like that, but they were together 10 years. That's a long time. So there is a part of this book where Zoe's like contemplating and talking to her friend Julia and a few other people about whether or not she wants to get back with him. And I totally understand those feelings. Like I said, she spent 10 years of her life with this guy. And now she's 32 years old and then she's realizing like, maybe I want kids. And it's not too late to have kids at 32. But once you hit your 30s, like there is that biological question. Can I have children? For how much longer can I have children and have a safe pregnancy? So, like, he took a decade of her life. Like, maybe she wouldn't have had kids or not, but she could have been with somebody who loved her and wanted to have kids and all that stuff. I totally understand her considering getting back together with him and everything because of that history, but at the same time, I was like, run far away from him. So there was that. Vixen, a book that has recently caught your eye. So, I bought these books 2 years ago and read them last year, I believe, by Matt Haig. A Boy Called Christmas, and this was the movie that came out on Netflix this year, and we watched it, but it was hard to watch because my kids talk nonstop during movies. I wonder where they get it from. And then the girl who saved Christmas. Look at those covers. They're so pretty. And this one's got like sparkles in it. And I love the art style and stuff like that. So I bought these at a bookstore near my mom. And they were on sale for $7 each. And they're hardcover. And then I didn't even know this book was coming out. But it caught my eye at our local chapters. And it was Father Christmas and Me. So it's the third one in the series. But it's a paperback. So it doesn't match my hardcover, sadly. So I just happened to be walking in Chapters. Or in Kohl's, and I saw this. Yeah, so it caught my eye, and I read this, and it's a fun read. It's great for, it just says fiction on it, but it's definitely for younger readers, like, I'd say at least middle grade. Very whimsical, very magical, funny. I would definitely recommend this series for, like, a Christmas read with your kids, or having your kids read it. Maybe my 10-year-old daughter will read it next year. Comment, a 5-star prediction. And this was also bonus for Christmas Star, a book over 500 pages. I picked Michael Crichton next. I made my husband read Jurassic Park, and then we found the audiobooks for both of them. So we decided to re-listen to them. So this was my 5-star prediction. I wouldn't say it was 5 stars, but I had a good time listening to it, or reading it anyways. That's why I always lose my bookmarks. I wouldn't say it was 5 stars. There was a lot happening in it. There were so many different perspectives, and then every once in a while it would have like an article or a perspective from somebody that just like kind of like filled out the story a little bit, but wasn't overarching through the whole story or anything like that. So, but there was a few main points of view that you were following, but it was kind of hard to keep up with, and then they would throw in like a random article and stuff like that. So it was a little bit all over the place. If I had listened to it as an audiobook, I probably would have been really confused. So it's good that I read it as a physical book. And I definitely want to read more of Michael Crichton. The little blurb on the back says, "Welcome to our genetic world. Fast, furious, and out of control. This is not the world of the future. It's the world right now." So this is all about genetic patenting, genetic testing. And this guy creates, they call it like a human Z. So it's human DNA mixed with chimpanzee DNA and like what comes from it. So that was really interesting. I don't want to give away too much because I don't want to give any spoilers. And then there's a case in here that this one guy's got really, really sick with like this kind of cancer, and his body like heals itself. And then he's like, the people who took his DNA and his blood, and like the doctor that was treating him kind of like took his genetic material and was like, I'm going to sell this gene because it's curing this cancer. And then that guy's suing because he's like, I thought I was sick for so much longer because you kept asking me to come back for more testing and you didn't tell me I was healthy and stuff like that. And then like I have a right to my own genetic material and stuff like that, right? And then like you're making money off of me, and what do I get? It's really interesting. There's a bit of a thriller aspect to it because they have determined that anyone in his family that has his DNA, like his daughter and his grandson, could be like taken off the streets, and they can just take DNA from them because because this company owns his DNA, and they're just like containers carrying it around. So yeah, we can just take it without asking. So that was really interesting, and I enjoyed the read. It was good. It was long. It was over 500 pages. That's why it was my Christmas Star. Sadly, it was a 5-star prediction, but it wasn't quite 5 stars, but it was still good, and I'll definitely be checking out more Michael Crichton in the future. Cupid, take a shot at reading a new author. So I listened to I'm Not Dying With You Tonight, and it was an audiobook, so that counted as well for Christmas carols. And that was by Julie Siegel and Kimberly Jones. It is a story told from the perspective of a white female teenager and a black female teenager. They are going to high school together when this riot breaks out, and they have to try and escape the riot and protect themselves. And the one girl, the white girl, is new to town. I can't remember their names. The white girl is new to town and doesn't really know anybody. Like, the black girl is from that town and stuff like that, so she knows like the streets a little bit better as they're like trying to escape from the school and like what streets to take. And that girl has a boyfriend that she just calls like Black. I did not like him at all. I texted my friend. I was like, did you listen to or read this book? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that Black character, I hate him. Like, really? I'm like, get away from this guy. He is bad news. But It's narrated by the white girl and the black girl, are both narrated by different people. So I definitely liked it as an audiobook, and it was short. I think it's like 5 hours or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It was a short one, but I really liked it, and I really liked the different perspectives. There was tensions between the two girls, which is going to happen in high school no matter what your race or ethnicity or whatever is. Whatever other box you're check marking, it doesn't matter. Like, there's going to be tensions between teenage girls in high school. But you get a little bit of a perspective of, like, why they're acting the way they're acting and, like, their home life and stuff like that. Like, this all just takes place over a couple of hours. You're not seeing them in their home life, but you know, like, because you're inside their heads, what they're thinking and why they're thinking that and stuff like that. So I liked that there was that, like, nuance there, and she wasn't just, like, where one girl's prejudices may have come in, you kind of understand a little bit of where they're coming from. Even though they didn't have a lot in common necessarily, and although they had some biases against each other, they still, like, stuck up for each other and protected each other and were there for each other throughout this whole, like, riot, scary situation. And I enjoyed that. Donner, a book with green or red as the primary color on the cover. I read my very first Tiffany D. Jackson called Monday's Not Coming, and that one, I can't find it. I own it. I read that for the Buzzwordathon, which was a day of the week, so Monday. That was a good one. It was a little bit younger than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like an older teenager, but it's a little bit younger, but I really, really enjoyed it. I liked the writing. I liked twist at the end when you find out what happened. And it was brutal and it was sad, and I took some notes in the book, and I was like, teenagers are mean, teenage girls are mean. My daughter is 10, she's in grade 5, and then my other daughter is 8 in grade 3. And I'm like, can I just not send them to middle school? Can I just not send them to high school? Those are terrible places to be. These people are so, so, so mean. One, I don't want my daughters to be bullies and to be one of those mean girls, but I also don't want them to be bullied either. I want them to be able to stick up for themselves and for others who are being bullied and stuff, but you can't shelter your children, but I just want to put them in a bubble. There's COVID and everything else going on, and on top of, like, the other stuff that we have to deal with in life, like bullying and everything. I just want to keep my kids home and not send them out into the scary, scary world. So there's that. But I really, really, really liked Monday's Not Coming. I don't have the book on me, but I'll pop up a quick picture, but, like, the whole cover is red. So that one worked for Donner with red as the primary color. And then Blitzen, choose at least 3 books and have one randomly chosen for you. So if you watched my TBR, my bearded dragon chose this book for me, and it was A Woman and Her God, which was by Life Enriching Messages, featuring Beth Moore, and then these other women, Jill Briscoe, Sandra D. Wilson, Kathleen Hart, one guy, David Hagar, Thelma Wells, and Beverly LaHaye. So I've never heard of any of those other people except for Beth Moore. And then they each just wrote on a topic like living in the spirit of unity, as Jesus cared for women. That was the Dave Hagar, and he's a medical doctor, so that one was interesting. Being a godly woman through every stage of life, transforming your self-identity, a woman's role, ministering like Jesus, just stuff like that, like encouraging, little quick encouraging messages and stuff. I thought it was really good, and I really enjoyed it, and I read it, like, throughout the month, like one person's story, one person's life enriching message a day kind of thing. This is good. I need to read more of my nonfiction Christian books, so I'm glad I was able to get to this one. And I've never really read Beth Moore, so it'd be nice to read a little bit more. I know she's, like, a staple in the women's Christian community. And then a Rudolph, a standalone book. I had one I wanted to read, but I didn't get to it. But I read 2 other books for the Marian Bright readathon. So I listened to In a Holidays, and I read Comfort and Joy by Kristen Hanna. And so I could have picked either one of those for that standalone. But I finished reading Fair Warning by Michael Connelly at like 11:50 p.m. 10 minutes left of the readathon. And then I was going to put in my points for that and for the standalone. And I think one other one I didn't put in points. Maybe the Take a Shot at Reading a New Author. And the Google document thing was closed. It was like, this is done already. You can't submit your points. And I was like, no, Damn you for being 2 hours ahead of me in time. But I'm on team stocking and we won. So yay. I want to know we would have had more. I want you to know we would have had more points, but sadly I wasn't able to get those points in, but it's okay because we won anyways. Comfort and joy. It happens over Christmas. It's not super duper Christmassy, but it does happen over the Christmas break, and it was a good one. And at first I was kind of like, this one thing was bothering me about it, but if I tell you what it is, it's like a spoiler of what actually happens when you find out like what actually happened. But I was like, this doesn't make any sense or anything like that. But then when they explained it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it now. And then In a Holidays is, for those who haven't read it, I think it's Christina Lauren or something. I listened to that as an audiobook, and these two families get together every single year. The parents were like best friends. They get together every single year at this cabin and have Christmas together. And she ends up making out with one of the brothers of obviously the other family, and is like horrified of it because she doesn't like him. She likes the other brother, and they've known each other like their whole lives and stuff. And then on their way leaving the cabin to go back home, they're in like a car accident, and then she wakes up and she's back on the plane heading to go to the cabin. And then she's like, this is weird. I've already lived this day. I've already lived this week, whatever. And then something else happens, and then she wakes up and she's on the plane again. So it's kind of like that Groundhog's Day type scenario. And so she's trying to figure out like how to get out of this loop and be able to go home and move on with her life. She's like, I'm gonna have to repeat this week for the rest of my life. It's gonna drive me crazy. That was a good one. I enjoyed it. By the end, like, she does, spoiler alert, she breaks out of the loop, but I don't even know how. Like, that wasn't really exactly explained. It was just like, she found happiness, so now she's out of this loop. So that was kind of one gripe I have about it, I guess. At the same time, it's like, she's stuck in a time loop. Like, it's not exactly realistic, right? But it was a nice romance. I like listening to the romance as audiobooks. They're just kind of cute, fun stories, and I liked that. So I could have picked any one of those for Rudolph, but it didn't matter because I was too late to do it. 2 hours, even though here in Alberta, whoops, I still had 10 minutes left, but that's okay. But thank you for being here to hear my wrap up on the Reindeer Readathon. Let me know if you participated, what your favorite books were that you read. I think my favorite was probably Monday's Not Coming. So let me know what your favorite book was, what you read for what prompts and stuff like that. And I will see you next time. Bye!